Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're all staying safe, staying inside, watching some YouTube videos, maybe even if they're not mine. I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to sit down with you guys, literally and figuratively, and bring you through one of my favorite rides at Disneyland. Now, I've already done one of these a long time ago in the past, and did sort of a virtual ride along with me on the Haunted Mansion. And now I figured it was a good time to do another virtual kind of ride through on Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland. So sit back, relax, and imagine you're riding right alongside me in a boat in Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland. So let's go ahead and start this video real quick. This is from LMG Vids, good friend of mine. Go check him out. I'll have the link to the actual video in the description down below if you want to play it along with me. Without any further ado, guys, here is a virtual ride along with me of Pirates of the Caribbean. I love this sort of courtyard area. If you didn't know, you always need to go to the, I believe it's the right side, because if you go left, you can wind back down an alley that goes kind of behind Tarzan's treehouse. But if you go right, you just wind up and around the stairs and you go right inside. So the right side of the line is usually shorter. Don't tell anyone I told you that. Let's keep that a secret with just us. But it seems like LMG Vids went left. It doesn't look like it matters too much in this situation or this scenario because the line looks short anyways. Who else is missing Disneyland right now? I was wanting to go as soon as they reopened the Haunted Mansion from its very long refurbishment, but unfortunately I could not. And unfortunately it never did reopen, and right now the parks are closed until further notice, so that's really sad. I'm kind of keeping this all uncut, mostly unedited for you guys, so it's kind of raw. So you're sitting there getting my immediate reactions. Now at this point, you walk into this building and you can immediately smell the pirate water, you hear the sound of the parrot barking at you. You see people ride by on the boats. I think this is a really good way of kind of getting you ready for the ride, showing you what you're about to experience with a little short dark ride scene, and you get to see the ride vehicles and essentially a little snippet of the adventure that you're about to go on. And so you get to the loading bay, also known as Lafitte's Landing. If you didn't know, there is a sign above this loading area that does say Lafitte's Landing, in reference to the pirate guy, John Lafitte. He's a very he was part of the Battle of New Orleans, I believe. He put out the governor, I believe, of Louisiana put out a warrant for his arrest, or like a bounty for John Lafitte's arrest, and John Lafitte in turn put out a warrant for the governor's arrest or capture. So I think that's something he did. He was a cool pirate who fought alongside the U.S. government in the Battle of New Orleans, and that's why they kind of worked him into this here story of New Orleans, where kind of in the background, in secret. Now we're boarding our pirate ship. Sometimes I'll go little stretches without talking because I want to listen to the sounds. I want you guys to take it in as well. So let's go ahead and board our pirate boat here, and we are off. So right away, we have the Bayou on our left-hand side, and we have the Blue Bayou, the restaurant, on our right-hand side. I personally love eating at the Blue Bayou. I try to do it every time I go to Disneyland. And I usually request a waterfront table when we get there. It's a little bit of a longer waiting time. You might have to wait an extra 10 or 20 minutes to get a waterfront table, but I believe it is 100% worth it because you can sit right out there on the water. It's nice and quiet, dark, relaxing, and the food there is fantastic. So if you've never eaten at the Blue Bayou, I highly recommend it. Now on our left-hand side, we see that the barge. I believe that is, I could be wrong. I'm going to look it up after this, and I'm going to put it right here if I'm incorrect. But that might be a keelboat. I forgot the name of the guy, but he was from the Davy Crockett TV show, and they were racing keelboats in an episode, and it used to be a ride at Disneyland. Doesn't exist, unfortunately, anymore. One of them is docked outside of the Settler's Cabin on the Rivers of America, and that might be the other one in the Bayou for Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm not sure, though. Again, if I'm incorrect, it'll say right here. Thank you. This guy Lots of people believe he's playing a banjo, but if you look, he is, I believe, smoking a pipe. He does not have a banjo. The banjo music is coming from inside the cabin, so it's someone else inside the cabin playing the banjo. This right here is my favorite part of the ride. Very dark, extremely relaxing, quiet. Hopefully it's quiet if the guests around you aren't making too much noise. Now we're coming up on the skull above the first drop. I'm very familiar with every line he says. I quote it most of the times when I'm writing it, or when I'm about to write it with my friends or family members. I'll quote the skull above the first drop. And Davy Jones waiting for them, but don't obey. Different from quoting the stretching room, I think. As long as you're saying it to yourself quietly, it's totally okay. If you yell along with the stretching room dialogue in the Haunted Mansion, though, not cool. Not cool. This part always kind of confused me a little bit, because you hear the pirates singing A Pirate's Life for Me, but you don't see them, and I'm not sure if it's supposed to represent going back in time, because the Pirate's Life story in reverse is now kind of what's actually happening in the ride since the update, I think a year or 2 years ago, with the special pirate to skeleton, skeleton to pirate illusion. It's coming on later, so maybe it's just representing the Pirate's Life in reverse, going back and remembering. This pirate flag effect is really cool, something I keep a lookout for every time I ride the ride. Is it just me, or does, like, this cave music just is oddly calming? I know it's supposed to be kind of foreboding, but every time, I'll listen to it very often on just a loop. Mr. Theme Park Audios, I believe, has a loop of this song that I'll just listen to over and over again. By this point in the ride, you are completely surrounded and enveloped by the smell of the brominated pirate water. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Rob Plays has a video on that. I might link that in the description down below if I remember. So here we're kind of moving into the abandoned pirate kind of living quarters, hideout area. You see in the background you have the scrim effect with the lightning and the storm going on. This is where I believe a picture would be at the Walt Disney World version. There's a skull on the wall similar to the skull above you at Disneyland before you're about to go down the first drop, except this skull at Walt Disney World takes your picture. Portrait of Red there in the background. I believe that is canon now, that is Red, since they did add her to the ride. Okay, skull on the headboard. People say that it's real, and I half believe it and I half don't. I believe maybe at one point it was, but I'm hearing conflicting reports from both cast members, fans, and higher-ups at Disney. The harpsichord has been missing for a while now. If you're a Disneyland regular, you know. But the harpsichord has been missing. I don't know what happened to it. If anyone has any idea of what happened to the Pirates of the Caribbean harpsichord, let me know. But yeah, I personally believe that skull on the headboard is real because it's something fun to tell people, but it very well might not be. Don't take that for a fact. There used to be a lightsaber hidden in one of the sword storage crates in this room. Also, potentially a Lego, I believe, pirate ship? Or ship in a bottle, I can't remember what it is. Something made out of Legos. And now we enter the tunnel sequence. Recently changed from the Davy Jones waterfall in the Red update. Back to the original, I believe, opening day, 1967 audio. And then here we have the illusion, seen famously in the Journey to Imagination ride at Epcot, with the butterfly turning invisible. Here we have a skeleton turning into a live pirate, and of course, my favorite character in the ride, the octopus with the gold. And here we enter the first scene that was changed in the 2006 update of the ride, I believe. I know they changed that first scene when you first walk into the queue with the parrot and the map. But I do believe Davy Jones and this would be the first scenes they've changed to the 2006 updating of the ride with Captain Barbossa. And believe it or not, at the Walt Disney World, the water from the cannons can splash you. There are a few water pumps that pump out the water to go high in the sky, really close to your boat, so you can get pretty wet. Honestly, if you time it right or time it wrong, you can get pelted with water. I believe coming up here on the left-hand side, you can see the projection work on that tower up there of the kind of pirate brawl. I always thought that was really fun because it's really realistic, juxtaposed with all the animatronic pirates. On the left-hand side, I don't know if you can see it quick, there is a noose tied, and it's a little fun, like, tiny effect that I've noticed that not a lot of people do notice. There's a light shining on it to make the noose appear bigger than it actually is. I feel like it's a show scene that not a lot of people notice, just something subtle to add to the atmosphere of the ride. We have a bucket of maps there on the ground in front of the fountain. They're obviously looking for Jack Sparrow, who's hiding. And then here on the left-hand side, people ask me how I feel about the red update in Pirates of the Caribbean. I personally love it a lot. I think it's I love both the original scenes and the new scenes, but Red as a character and just the new updated animatronics. The only thing that bothers me is the new auctioneer voice. It doesn't sound the same to the old one, and so that kind of throws me off a little bit, but it doesn't bother me too much. I enjoy the new Red update. Plus it's a lot more merchandising opportunities, and if you've met the character wandering around New Orleans Square, she's super fun to talk to. Another change to Pirates of the Caribbean, I wanted to do a video on this when I got to Disneyland when the Haunted Mansion reopened. Obviously that never happened. Was the changes they've made to Pirates of the Caribbean, sort of the ways they've censored the ride over the years. Lots of stuff in this scene right here with the women chasing the pirates. It used to be pirates chasing the women, and of course the pooped pirate. Is that old Bill or old Ben? I believe it's old Bill. He's probably my second favorite character in the ride, right behind the octopus. And now we enter the burning city sequence. Lots of force perspective being used here. Fire effects that were made specifically for this ride. The donkey animatronic is very lifelike at Disneyland. I don't know why it's not the same at Walt Disney World, but it doesn't move quite as naturally. At Walt Disney World, they would be pumping in the smell of smoke here, just like they would pump in the smell of food at the marketplace in a couple scenes behind us here. But at Disneyland, they just keep it classic, no smells. Besides the scenes that they've changed in 2006, not a lot has changed. Minus, the additions of Barbossa, Jack Sparrow, switching to pirates, changing some dialogue. Okay, maybe it has changed a bit. The foot pirate with his foot dangling over the bridge, an icon. Really, everyone's always trying to reach up and grab it, but you can never reach it. Now we're sailing through the prison, and I believe this is Isla del Moro. Going through the prison here. The face of the whistling pirate is actually used, I believe, on the Haunted Mansion with the ghost playing the bagpipes. It's the same mold. It's just a man kind of exhaling. So they used the same face mold for the bagpipe ghost in the Haunted Mansion graveyard. This collapsing boat kind of scene had been broken apparently for a long time, and I experienced it while it was broken, but they've kind of fixed it. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not, with the beams kind of collapsing in on you. This is usually where the ride slows down quite a bit while you wait to go back up the waterfall. Meanwhile, at Walt Disney World, you walk up a moving sidewalk instead of just riding back up the waterfall like at Disneyland. I don't know. There are people out there who know my feelings about the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at the Magic Kingdom in Florida. you know how I feel about it. This one at Disneyland is just so much better, I think. I don't believe it's going to be shown in this video, but on your left-hand side now, there's chest plates of armor, and in the middle of one of them, there's actually a hidden Mickey that you can spot. Yeah, it won't be shown in this video, but there is a hidden Mickey in one of the chest plates of armor. So when the parks reopen, keep a lookout for that. Not at Walt Disney World, because this scene does not exist in Florida. Another fun little kind of miniaturized version, I would say, of the ship battle scene, because they are shooting just normal bullets into the water as opposed to cannonballs. So it's the same effect with smaller jets of water coming out. Something fun to just kind of wind down the ride, I think. And then, of course, Jack Sparrow at the end on your right, going up the waterfall. Instead of the two pirates taking the treasure back up the waterfall, I believe, as it was either on opening day or a couple of years afterward. So the chair that he's sitting in is actually, I believe, one used in the Haunted Mansion movie, along with a chair in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Walt Disney World that Jack's sitting in, and two chairs in the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World and Disneyland, both, I believe. So that's 4 chairs total. There might be more, but I do believe all 4 of those were used in the film. I could be wrong. They might just look similar, but they are the same kind of chair. You have the monsters looking at you on your left-hand side. I don't know. I think it's just to give guests something to look at when they go back up. It's just something fun to kind of look at. And of course, the narration by Davy Jones and Blackbeard. Another movie tie-in. I don't think needs to be there necessarily, but it's, like I said, it kind of fills the empty space. And then this is the part I like to build up as being the biggest drop on the ride, like the end of Splash Mountain, big. Just a huge drop going over the waterfall. And so if I'm in the front row and there's people behind me, sometimes I'll put my hands up, sometimes I'll be like, here we go. And then you go up, 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 and drop like half a foot back down into the water. And so this is my favorite place to be sort of at the end of the night. Usually finish off the night with a ride on Pirates. It's dark. There's nobody really in line. You're either in a boat with a few other people or a completely empty boat in a completely empty building. It's a feeling unlike any other, I think. And then again, we have the parrot on the right-hand side with the Jolly Roger and the map of the island, which you can actually buy in the Pirates of the Caribbean gift shop. I believe it's Isle del Moro. Yeah, and it's a whole map kind of the town and the caves, the whole ride that you really just went on. I think it's funny, you start off in the bayous of Louisiana or New Orleans because you're in New Orleans Square, and then you eventually go into the Caribbean, and encounter all these pirates in these Spanish islands. So, if you look straight ahead now, you can see the Lafitte's Landing sign. Again, just another reference to Jean Lafitte, pirate lord extraordinaire. Really the backbone of New Orleans Square, I would say. And you go from the free-floating, kind of in the water, being pushed along by jets, onto the conveyor belt to unload. And that, everyone, there's the sign, is the end of this ride-through of Pirates of the Caribbean with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Just something fun I could just talk with you guys about real quick. I had a good time. I like talking about stuff like this. I could film this 4 more times and find something new every time. So let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, share with your friends. It really lets me know, what people are looking for. And if you want to see more videos of this kind of thing, riding through rides with narration by me, let me know. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye. Wait. Goodbye.